I came across this on TikTok, and there's it's an overwhelming amount of information. It's probably one of the first times I'll say to maybe look into some of this yourself. But I watched part of this, and I wanted to save it, because this is a really messed up story. There's also a GoFundMe in the description, but let's watch this first, and then we'll go look at that.
TikTok, I need your help to make this go viral. We need to elevate PFC Denisha Montgomery-Smith's name. My sister, Denisha Montgomery-Smith, she was on a rotation in Germany for 9 months, but she only made it to 8 months. During her stay, she went to an amusement park with 4 of her battle buddies, and she ended up getting brutally assaulted by all 4 of them. She made a FaceTime video call to us, the family, and asked us to record it. She said that she didn't trust them and she was in fear for her life. She also mentioned and literally showed us in the video that they were holding her mouth like this. And she said, I was literally afraid to die. Right after that video call, we, the family, made a call to the Red Cross to be able to get her home. That didn't do nothing. She stayed in Germany. They didn't do nothing to get her home. 21 days later, she's found dead in her barracks room. Not only did we get news that my sister died in Germany, but we also got told that she died by suicide by suffocation. Ain't it really weird how in the vehicle on the way back from the amusement park, she literally said that they were choking her and holding her like that? Their chain of command in Germany also pushed out orders for none of the soldiers to talk about it, post about it, or talk to any of the family about it. But what's crazy is this soldier right here,
I wonder if they gave them the body back so that they could have their own like independent investigation on what happened. Like, he
did. And not only did he post about it, but my sister pulled him over and his friends in the vehicle, and she ended up letting them go without a ticket or anything by orders. But it's weird because he posted that.
What is that? You know, this old girl gave us the warning ticket gang. I don't know what that is.
And then he ended up dead as well.
Okay.
In his barracks room, just like my sister. Now, a lot of people might think it's just a coincidence, but that's awfully ironic that literally right after he reposted my sister's story, after getting orders not to even talk about it, post about it, or anything, he was found dead. And they ruled his death from a seizure. They said that he died from a seizure, but he was found with bruises and beating marks on him. So how do you get that? Now, I know you might not care and this might not go viral or whatever, but this has to stop. We have to make a change. It could literally be your sister, mother, aunt, uncle, brother, whoever. We need to make this stop. We need to bring justice to PFC Denisha Montgomery-Smith.
So, obviously, you see the story is like very complicated and confusing, and I don't know what's what, but here's what I do know. I know, one, that I've seen like a lot of different stories, especially of women in the military, talking about how they were subjected to forms of like assault and harassment, and it was completely suppressed by the military. This is an active problem in the military. There's an active rape culture in the military. What I also know is at the end of the day, it's what this is more about is getting the information to be out there in a transparent way. If what the military is saying is correct, then they should be able to release the information, especially if her family, this is their family, of the woman who's tragically passed away. I don't know exactly how, you know, they want it to be released. So there's a GoFundMe in here. I donated it to you. I donated it. I would recommend taking a look. I'm going to put it in the description and everything. Because this is more, I read through it and it seems like, so it says, Denisha Montgomery, 27, mother of 3, lost her life on August 9th, 2022 in Germany. The U.S. Army ruled her death a suicide, but the family has evidence otherwise. The family plans to have a full investigation of her suspicious death beyond the injury by the CID. We have Okay, so basically this is about trying to give the resources to probably hire a lawyer and figure out how to get this information public. So that's very important to me. So I wanted to donate to that. If you can, go for it. If you can't, I totally understand. Yeah, it's terrifying. There clearly needs to be some kind of, something needs to happen. And let's watch this one first.
We start tonight with a family demanding answers after their daughter, a military police officer, died while serving overseas. This is Denisha Montgomery, just 27 years old, her entire future ahead of her. A daughter, a wife, a mother, serving her country and working hard to support her kids back home. The Army calls Denisha's death a suicide, and they are investigating, but her family believes something far more sinister happened, and someone is not telling the truth. In a moment, I'm going to be talking with two close friends of the family live about this case and the ongoing investigation. But first, we turn to investigative correspondent Rich McHugh tonight with this exclusive report. Rich.
Thanks, Marnie. I've covered a lot of stories involving the military, many of them good, some of them bad. This is likely among the worst. And if not for the video that you're about to see, we might not even know about it at all.
27-year-old Denisha Montgomery pursued her dreams and joined the Army 2 years ago.
I gotta protect my mom and my sister.
She was determined to help provide for her 3 young boys.
Yeah, good for her.
Assigned to the 139th Military Police Company at Fort Stewart, this summer when she was stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany, her trust in the military abruptly changed.
Honey, this is all I wanted to do. Mom, this is all I wanted to do.
On July 19th, she made a frantic video call to her family and asked them to record it.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Jada. Hey, Mom.
I love you.
I just want to come home. Look what
Brooklyn.
they did.
Jesus Christ. That's a fucking hell of a bruise.
Oh my god.
She had serious bruises, open wounds on her body.
Where's that from?
The
I don't
fuck?
know.
That looks like a knife or something.
I don't know.
In this
Maybe a cigarette burn. I don't know.
12-minute video call with her family, she said she went with a group of military police from her unit off base to a water park, said they had been drinking, and on the car ride back, they assaulted her.
They choked me out. Look, they was doing it to me in the car. I kept telling them, I was like, I can't breathe. I was like, I can't breathe. I was gasping for air. I was like, bro, I ain't never been so scared in my life. I thought I was going to die in the car, bro.
That evening, while she was on the video call, her family called the Red Cross and reported what she had told them, that 4 military police officers assaulted and strangulated her.
So I was like, just let me out of the car. But they wouldn't let me out of the car. And then all this happened.
In and out of tears on the call, she vowed to report her assault the next day.
I'm going to talk to CID tomorrow.
And what, tell them that you just want to get out or what?
I'm telling them that I don't want to be here no more. I'll do whatever I have to do, Mom. I'm coming. I can't be here no more. I don't trust them. I don't trust my leadership. I don't want to be here with none of them no more.
In a text
Damn. That's fucked.
message to her uncle the next day, she wrote, "They told me if I report an assault, I'll be charged with assault too because I mushed the female and bit the male that was choking me. 21 report an assault, I'll be charged with assault too because I mushed the female and bit the male that was choking me."
So they told her that if she reported the assault that they're going to get her too? Well, what the fuck? I mean, what, because she potentially fought back?
21 days later, on August 9th, Denisha Montgomery was found dead in her barrack. That same day, the Army told Denisha Montgomery's family that she took her own life.
And they said that we're sorry to inform you that your daughter has committed suicide by suffocation. And I said, how do you suffocate yourself?
I know.
I mean, I would imagine, well, would you use like a rope potentially? My question is did they release the body so that the parents could do their own investigation?
That my daughter wouldn't kill herself.
No doubt in your mind.
No doubt in my mind. I know my kid, man.
Well, I know that it's incredibly suspicious that she goes to report like a fucking assault and then, 3 weeks later she ends up dead. I mean, I don't know. It's possible she took her own life because of how horrible the situation was, but she only had a month left. I don't know. It just doesn't really add up that she actually took her own life.
The Army released a statement 5 days later confirming Denisha Montgomery was found unresponsive in her barrack and said, "The incident is currently under investigation by U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division."
But it doesn't make any sense. How are you still investigating when you prematurely said she committed suicide?
True.
It tells me that you've already have a determination.
Tamika Light is Denisha Montgomery's aunt. She served 13.
How did she suffocate to death? I don't understand. Like, did they release that information? Did she hang herself? Did she throw up in her sleep and stuff? About you drown? I don't understand. It doesn't make
as an Army
sense.
sergeant and was awarded the Purple Heart.
Something in the back of my mind told me that when she was attacked on the 19th of July, that there was something bigger at play. Something told me that her life was in danger.
None of Denisha's family believes she took her own life. Her husband, Joshua.
I know she didn't commit suicide.
No doubt in your mind.
No doubt in my mind.
Her sister, Jada.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
Do you think your sister was murdered?
I do. It's just by who and when.
And how many? And how many knew about it and how many covered it up?
I don't know what she knew, but it had to be too much. You know, like I said, my
There's a lot of it we don't have, and speculating isn't a good thing. Right, so at the beginning of this, I don't know if you popped in late, but I said that this is about, this is something that I showed people. This is the profile. I'm going to link this in the thing, but there's a GoFundMe, and the specific goal of the GoFundMe isn't to keep a bunch of money for themselves, but to further investigate their own. It seems like they might want to try to hire a lawyer and figure this out themselves. So, you know, as you say, there's not a lot of info we don't have, and speculating isn't a good thing. You followed that up by saying it could have been through carbon dioxide. So it sounds like you're just as open to speculation. But instead of defending the military at all costs, take a deep breath, take a step back, and listen to what's going on here, because it just doesn't add up, right?
They told me she was scared. I've never heard my daughter say that ever in her life. Ever. She wasn't scared of anything.
She was set to come home in 3 weeks. Sent pictures of her bags packed and waiting.
I talked to her that night, and you're not going to tell me that she was anything but happy and ready to come home.
And this video to her husband dancing to their wedding song.
And that's all we talked about is what we're going to do when she got home. The very first thing she wanted to do was go to Walmart.
I can't make sense of it.
True. Sorry, that's very relatable. What a tragic fucking situation.
It's a nightmare. Every day I wake up, it's a nightmare.
One giant piece of the puzzle, her sister says, comes from what the military told them about what happened 3 weeks prior at the water park, before the alleged assault in the car.
The CID told us on the phone that that night at the water park, 2 individuals that were not with her tried to sexually assault her in a restroom. But they stated clearly that the people that were with her, they tried to chase them down in a sort, and they were trying to help her.
No one is in.
Oh, wait. Who are the 2 people?
To sexual night at the water park. The CID told us on the phone that that night at the water park, 2 individuals that were not with her tried to sexually assault her in a restroom.
Oh, this sounds like a... Listen, again, I don't know. But so the woman who was Denisha, who was killed or died, we don't know exactly how, but, you know, she claimed that it was the 4 people with her that tried to assault her, and then now the 4 people who allegedly assaulted her, they're claiming that it's 2 random people who weren't there. That just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense. Why would she lie on the names of 4 of her 4 of her peers in the military unless they actually did it? Again, we don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
But they stated clearly that the people that were with her, they tried to chase them down in a sort, and they were trying to help her.
No one has inquired with the family about the assault.
So then why would she be told that she would be charged with fighting back? Because that doesn't make any sense. Like, because she's like, yeah, they told me if I reported it, I'll be charged as well for like assault because I fought back, basically. So then why would they charge her with that? That doesn't make any sense from the military's perspective.
We have taken it upon ourselves to get justice for Denisha. We have taken it upon ourselves to collect all evidence, to show that Denisha was not suicidal, to show that she was attacked and afraid for her life, and to show that she was ready to come back home.
We have asked the Army about the investigation, also about the alleged assault prior to her death. They declined our request for an interview, but said special agents with the Department of Army Criminal Investigation Division are investigating the death of Specialist Denisha Montgomery, and would not comment further.
Well, it makes me feel really good that a branch of the military is investigating a branch of the military. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds great. You know, I just that just doesn't add up to me. You know, I think that there needs to be like we'll call it an external investigation more than anything else.
Denisha was returned to her family on August 26th.
So they did get the body.
In her hometown, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, lined the roads to salute her.
I truly wonder, and I wouldn't even blame the parents or the family if this didn't cross their mind. I wonder if they had requested a autopsy on their own after they got the body back. I don't even, it's probably wouldn't even be in their minds to think about that. So if they didn't do it, I totally understand. But like that's the best idea, I think, for what to do is like, okay, let's have this investigated ourselves. Let's have somebody like take a look at the body ourselves instead of immediately putting her, you know, burying her.
My daughter came home. They didn't give me no autopsy report, no cause of death. Where's all that? Where's all that at?
How dare you?
Really?
Allow my niece's death to be in vain. How dare you?
That's crazy.
Prematurely tell us that this strong.
They didn't do an autopsy report? They didn't give it to them? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Beautiful individual took her life when we know better. We want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but. I am Denisha Montgomery-Smith. That's her name, and I want everybody to say it. I am Denisha Montgomery-Smith.
This family, no information from the military, no cause of death, no autopsy, a lot of evidence to suggest that Foul play happened, and so many questions yet to be answered tonight, Marnie.
This is just the beginning, Rich.
I wonder who this guy is.
You and I both know this investigation will take a long time, but with the pressure from this family for answers, we're going to stay on this. Eye-opening and heartbreaking. Rich McHugh with this exclusive report tonight. Rich, thank you. I want to bring in Amy Frank now. She's the founder of Never Alone, and Lindsay Knapp, executive director of Combat Sexual Assault, both representing the family of Denisha Montgomery tonight. And I want to start, ladies, by thanking you and sending my condolences to the family of Denisha, and also begin with, we've reached out to the Army. Rich included their response. They are investigating, but beyond that, they are not saying anything. Lindsay, I want to start with you. You say the military was too quick to call this a suicide. Why?
Well, because what we have is we've got a service.
Like a female from Puerto Rico that was an MP, the same thing happened. It's happened to men. It's happened to women. Your government property once you sign away, the money ain't free when you sign away. Do you know what you're talking about? Or did you just kind of come in here like a kind of an idiot? Y'all don't know anything about the military. This has happened for years. So you realize that what you're defending right now is a woman that was potentially assaulted by 4 of her peers in the military, and then like potentially killed. I don't understand. Oh, and why do you think so? If you decided to enlist in the military and you were assaulted by 4 of your peers, and then you mysteriously died 3 weeks later, and they ruled it a suicide, you think that that's perfectly reasonable? Well, I'm not going to ban you. Well, I probably will. I just don't understand where you're coming from. I don't understand why you think that that makes sense. That once you sign into the military, that means that if you die, there doesn't have to be a reasonable explanation for your death, and it can be covered up. That just doesn't add up to me. I can only assume that you're a child that doesn't really know too much. And you're not, like, you probably just don't understand, I guess, what it's like to lose family or something. That's sad, man. I hope that you grow up a little bit and learn that that's not right. Like, I don't even, I feel like this is almost insane. It's almost insane, man. That this has to even be explained to you. But okay, let's continue with the video.
Member who was afraid for her life and who was assaulted 21 days prior to her death.
Yeah, he probably
now,
is
they've told
hateful,
you
right?
that they're investigating, which is more information that they've given us. I have personally reached out to the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of the Army, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley. I've reached out to the Special Agent in charge of this case. I've reached out to CID headquarters, and I have reached out to the 16th Military Police Brigade Commander to get an update on this case. They have given us nothing. The only thing that they've given us is let the family know that this was a suicide. However, all evidence to the contrary. We have this video where she's reporting that she was assaulted by 4 other cops. So I've got a cop who was assaulted by 4 other cops who then reported it to the cops, and then the cops did nothing. So what we're calling for now is that the FBI immediately take this case over, because what the military has shown us is that they are unable, ill-equipped, or unwilling to take this case and give Denisha Montgomery-Smith the justice that she deserves.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, if it is just one bizarre, unlikely coincidence, then they should have the information to be able to show people, to be like, oh, it was this, and this. Show evidence, you know?
I want to take people back to July 19th. And Amy, let's bring you in here. Was the alleged assault that Denisha told her family about in that video, that 12-minute video on July 19th, investigated by the Army at that time? Who knew other than her family?
According to text messages from Denisha Montgomery-Smith, she told her leadership. She told everybody. And the only thing that they did was remove one of the assailants from her actual room and put her as a suite mate. So one of the alleged assailants still had access to her. And then they threatened to charge her if she pursued the charges any further by saying that because she defended herself, that she would be charged as well.
And it doesn't make sense that they would do that if it was 2 other people that weren't even part of the barracks or military or whatever it was, you know?
So to our knowledge, nobody was looking into what we would say would be an attempted murder on her life by strangulation.
What was happening in that window of time between July 19th and that video and Denisha's death, which is about 21 or so days? How much communication did she have with her family? We saw her bags were packed to come home.
She was just telling them that she was afraid and that she didn't want to speak anymore about anything because she was worried about what else was going to happen to her. And so she wanted to keep her head down and just get home where she'd be safe to tell what really happened.
Lindsay, it seems as though this video, 12 minutes long, would be a key part of the investigation. The family has that video. Have the investigators with the Army contacted the family about seeing this video, asked them about some of the things Denisha had said to them prior to her death?
So once we learned that the video existed, we immediately sent that to CID and the military to aid in the investigation, because obviously we want answers and the family wants to get to the bottom of this. And so despite that, they interviewed the spouse, Josh Smith, and after seeing that video, seeing the injuries, learning that she told him directly of the attack, the only questions they had for Josh were questions such as, what was her mental health state like the last time he spoke with her? Has she ever had any suicidal ideations? They didn't ask one question about the assault on July 19th, or if Denisha thought that anybody was after her or anything like that. So it became very, very clear that even after we were submitted all of the evidence that we had to them, that, where we believed that this was not a suicide at all, that the military was still leaning in hard to the suicide narrative and not investigating any other avenue.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly lazy.
What about the idea?
I really wish, because it seems like they didn't do their own autopsy. I really wish that they had.
Yeah, Lindsay, and you heard Denisha's dad say this in the piece a moment ago. The autopsy. Where is it? What did it say? When was it done? Can we have it?
I would love to have it. I would love some kind of communication with the military at all. They've communicated to you more than they've communicated to us. We've reached out to congressional leaders for information, to Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office. They've provided her with more information than they have provided us. Bottom line is they treated Denisha Montgomery-Smith's life as if it were forfeit. She is a Black woman, mother of 3. She comes from 3 generations of Black women who served our country. Not only did she serve our country,
Like, sitting there, it's like, you don't really need the id poll here. I mean, they are, 3 generations of people who serve the military. But I understand why they're id polling here. They're doing, like, identity politics. It's specifically because it's like the unfortunate reality that, like, the media will probably, I mean, maybe they'll care more if they throw identity at it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those unfortunate things. It shouldn't have to be necessary for them to talk about how she's a Black woman. It's just a fucking American woman who served our military. And, like, it seems like she was fucking completely really disrespected by the military, and there's not any transparency here.
but she's also a cop. So this is what this looks like. This is blue on blue. This is everything. They have given us no indication that they care about her or her life. Thus, we need the FBI to take over this case immediately so that this investigation is not compromised any further.
I know both of you are deeply involved with this family, this case, but other cases in the past. I will give you the final word, Amy. You're with Never Alone. What is your message to other military families tonight? What is your message to the Army about this particular case? If you could have 1 minute with them to tell them what's on your heart tonight with Denisha's death, what would you say?
This woman deserves the truth. Her family deserves the truth, just like Tim Tebow's, or excuse me, just like the other families deserve the truth, and that this is a national security crisis, and we cannot continue to allow these families and these young men and women to be murdered by suicide. It has to end. We have to have transparency and accountability. We have not seen one general officer that has violated federal law be held accountable. From General White at Fort Hood with Vanessa Guillen, no accountability of a general officer violating federal laws, not protecting their service members. It has to stop. And the president has to create an accountable, transparent military where these general officers are held accountable.
We will continue to push for answers in this case, accountability, justice, the truth. To you both, Amy and Lindsay, thank you for your time tonight, and we will continue to reach out to the Army and offer you at home the latest on this investigation. Please send our best to the family of Denisha tonight.
Thank you. We will.
Thank you for.
All right, so this is an update that they had, which I'm curious about. This was about a month ago.
We have an update now on an exclusive News Nation investigation into a U.S. soldier who died while stationed in Germany. The Army ruled 27-year-old Denisha Montgomery's death a suicide, but her family says they believe something worse happened to her, and they believe that because weeks before her death, she told her family that military police officers assaulted her and she was going to report it. But she was found dead in her barracks. Her family, now advocates, demanding answers from the Army, especially after News Nation obtained her Army casualty report. News Nation's Rich McHugh has the latest.
What is an Army casualty report?
27-year-old Denisha Montgomery pursued her dreams and joined the Army 2 years ago.
You have to take my mom and my sister.
She was determined to help provide for her 3 young boys. Assigned to the 139th Military Police Company at Fort Stewart this summer on July 19th.
All right, so the casualty reports are the source of information provided to the next of kin. They also track. Okay.
Wiesbaden, Germany.
This is all I wanted to do. Mom, this is all I wanted to do.
On July 19th, she made a frantic video call to her family and asked them to record it.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Jada. Hey, Mom.
I love you.
I just want to come home. Look what they did to me.
She had serious bruises, open wounds on her body.
Where's that from?
I don't know.
In this 12-minute video call with her family, she said she went with a group of military police from her unit off base to a water park, said they had been drinking, and on the car ride back, they assaulted her.
They choked me out. Look, they was doing me in the car. I was gasping for air. I was like, bro, I ain't never been so scared in my life. I thought I was gonna die in the car, bro.
In and out of tears on the call, she vowed to report her assault the next day.
I'm going to talk to CID tomorrow.
And what, tell them that you just want to get out or what?
I can't be here no more. I don't trust them. I don't trust my leadership. I don't want to be here with none of them no more.
21 days later, on August 9th, Denisha Montgomery was found dead in her barrack. That same day, the Army told Denisha Montgomery's family that she took her own life.
And they said that we're sorry to inform you that your daughter has committed suicide by suffocation. And I said, how do you suffocate yourself?
I know that my daughter wouldn't kill herself.
No doubt in your mind.
No doubt in my mind. I know my kid, man.
The Army released a statement 5 days later confirming Denisha Montgomery was found unresponsive in her barrack and said, the incident is currently under investigation by U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division.
But it doesn't make any sense. How are you still investigating when you prematurely said she committed suicide?
Tamika Light is Denisha Montgomery's aunt. She served 13 years as an Army sergeant and was awarded the Purple Heart.
Because something in the back of my mind told me that when she was attacked.
I mean, it's interesting because these people aren't even like anti-military individuals. These are like incredible. These are patriots. I mean, these are people who served the military. So, I mean, I imagine they would know a little more context better than most of us.
On the 19th of July, that there was something bigger at play.
One giant piece of the puzzle, her sister says, comes from what the military told them about what happened 3 weeks prior at the water park, before the alleged assault in the car.
The CID told us on the phone that that night at the water park, 2 individuals that were not with her tried to sexually assault her in a restroom.
We have asked the Army about the investigation and also about the alleged assault prior to her death. In a statement, they said, special agents with the Department of Army Criminal Investigation Division are investigating the death of Specialist Denisha Montgomery. Since our last report, News Nation has obtained the Army casualty report for Denisha Montgomery-Smith. It was made 8 days after Denisha's death. But under category of death,
why did it take them so long?
It states pending. And under circumstances, it says determination pending.
I mean, I guess that makes sense considering they said it was a suicide, but I guess they're still investigating.
Asked the Army about the discrepancy. In a statement to News Nation, they write, the Army has not yet made a final... We asked the Army about the discrepancy. In a statement to News Nation, they write, the Army has not yet made a final determination of the cause or manner of Specialist Denisha Montgomery's death. CID is conducting a comprehensive investigation which will remain open until all leads have been addressed and the medical examiner issues a final determination of the cause and manner of death.
I mean... Listen, maybe I'm just ignorant, but if this truly was a suicide, then how is this taking more than like a day? I mean, I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I mean, we can talk about how we're being as thorough as possible, but they initially ruled it a suicide. Now, what other options could you possibly go towards if the original claim was a suicide? Like, I don't know. It just reads as it just seems like there's a lot more than just like. It seems like a cover-up to me, but
further, they write,
what do I know?
At the time of Specialist Montgomery's death, German law enforcement authorities exercised primary jurisdiction. When the German authorities closed their investigation and transferred the matter to the U.S. Army CID, they stated that they had ruled Specialist Montgomery's death to be a suicide.
My daughter came home.
Okay.
They didn't give me no autopsy report, no cause of death. Where's all that? Where's all
Yeah.
that?
I am Denisha Montgomery-Smith. That's her name, and I want everybody to say it. I am Denisha Montgomery-Smith.
For News Nation, Rich McHugh.
Okay.
All right, let's bring in now Lindsay Knapp, Denisha Montgomery's family attorney, executive director of Combat Sexual Assault. Lindsay, thank you for being with us. Since the last time we spoke, that Army casualty report lists her death as pending. We know they told Denisha's family she died by suicide. Why did they not list her death as a suicide officially?
That's really a great question, and that's kind of what we've been asking this entire time. We believe that CID is not doing a full and thorough investigation into this case. And it wasn't until we broke the story with News Nation that they even provided us with this report of casualty that's got the death as pending. What we know is that they showed up, the casualty assistance officer, at the parents of Denisha Montgomery-Smith and told the family that this was a suicide. We also know that 2 days after she died, people that were in that car with her on July 19th reached out to the family to gather information and to inquire about what was going on. We immediately notified CID that the people that we believe assaulted Denisha in the car that night were reaching out to them. And they did nothing. They didn't issue a military protective order. They didn't stop these individuals from contacting the family. For 30 days, these individuals reached out to the family to gather information. We begged CID to maybe come record the call, do some kind of investigation into this, and they did not. So what we're seeing is just again and again that when we're giving CID evidence to be like, hey, you know, maybe you should investigate this, they're just not. They're not worried about the assault on July 19th. They're not worried about the assault in the vehicle. And by way of an example, again, when I took Denisha's spouse, Josh, to CID to be interviewed about everything that she told him about the assault on July 19th, CID was only concerned about what her mental health was like prior to her death.
So did they ever interview the family, Lindsay?
So they have interviewed a couple members of the family, yes. Okay. At our request.
As your request.
So to kind of to paint the scene, from August 11th to September 11th, military police officers that Denisha identified assaulted her in the vehicle on July 19th have been reaching out to her, reaching out to members of the family. And so we report that to CID and they don't stop it. They don't try to do anything about it. And then moreover, those same individuals that Denisha identifies as assaulting her in the vehicle that day are photographed with the Secretary of the Army when the Secretary of the Army goes to visit Wiesbaden on September 20th.
Interesting.
So the other interesting piece is when they're photographed with the Secretary of the Army on September 20th is that they also have their weapons. So these military police officers who have been accused by Denisha in that video on July 19th of assaulting her in that vehicle and strangulating her and all those bruises and injuries that you saw are standing next to the Secretary of the Army with their weapons. That should outrage the American public. How are the police policing themselves? At the very least, we've got some very serious allegations that these military police officers have done something really, really wrong. But the military doesn't seem concerned about it at all because they're still letting them put their fingers on the triggers.
Yeah, we certainly hope that her family is able to get answers, Lindsay. I know that you are certainly working to make that happen. Lindsay Knapp, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
All right, yeah. Listen, like I said at the beginning of this, there just seems to be a complete lack of transparency. And I wanted to signal boost this original message. For all we know, there may be no cover-up. There may be some kind of military protocol which is causing them to not release specific information. I don't really know. What I do know, though, is that, like, you know, you donate or, you know, signal boost this or this video here. I'll obviously link everything in the description.
TikTok.
And try to get this message around so that at the very least that there's transparency so that the family can have a peace of mind. All right? So I think that's what's most important.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.